So obviously you run, should we say, as part of SellerSnap, the team there, and SellerSnap does repricing. So it basically helps sellers to automate their repricing, and it uses advanced algorithms to do this. And I know now into the AI world as well, and we'll talk about that in a minute. What are the things that you see within the repricing world that, should we say, really make a difference, and maybe things that are nice buzzwords but don't really make a difference, like people need to be aware of when they come to repricing, like to be mindful of, like what actually works?
Yeah, that's a tough question to answer. I think that there's a lot of competition in the price optimization and the repricing space, and there's a lot of really brilliant solutions out there. I think more so than what to look out for and not look out for, looking at solutions is what to you would define as a seller would define success, and what are you looking for a tool to do? Some people really want to spend all of their time very hyper-focused on building specific strategies for very obscure or bespoke use cases, and they want to make sure every listing is so heavily optimized. And so for them, finding a solution that might be heavily customizable and have lots of bells and whistles and tools might be something that is of immense importance to them. And then other people might be more focused on reclaiming lost time. To do all of that stuff, you need to be really focused on every listing all the time. There's hundreds of thousands of products. And there's no guarantee that at the end of the day, it's going to do what it's meant to do, which is make you more profitable by spending all that time. And so there's tools out there like SellerSnap that, we're built to automate that experience. And the algorithm is optimized to make sure that what we refer to as sort of game theory repricing, we are playing this game of, cat and mouse almost with our competitors or with your competitors, and making sure that we are pricing as optimally as possible so that you win the fair share of the buy box that you deserve and at the highest possible price without you needing to spend all of this time. So, to summarize that and bring it back to the initial question, it's not what to look for or look out against. It's about you and your business and what works for you. And, I do recommend that come to SellerSnap or any solution and give it a go and understand, does this tool work for me and my business and my goals and what I'm trying to achieve, and not be so fixated on the keywords and the buzzwords and the marketing, but just really understand, does this work for me? And for a lot of sellers, what they'll end up finding is that, well, there's just one tool for their business, for the products that they sell, that actually makes them a higher profit margin, makes them more profit. And, just it's dollars and cents. Is this tool good for me? Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think it's a really interesting point. Like, obviously, we use SellerSnap now, and I love it. I think it's an amazing tool. We've used competitors before, and there are other competitors who are a lot more customizable, millions of features. And while it sounds good, I was like, all I do is I spend time managing this. And it's like, it's the last thing I want to do. I just want to literally set it and allow it to do its thing, and then also watch it and make sure it does what it says it's actually going to do. And that's been one of the pleasures of working with SellerSnap, and the fact that it has actually made that difference. And I've seen, we did an hour a day, and now we do probably half an hour a week, which again freed up my time, and also I've seen the effect. So I really like that. So thank you. One of the questions I want to ask is, especially in like the repricing space, and if you're new to repricing, there's a lot of talk of like instant repricing and obviously other features such as that. But I appreciate that when I update pricing, whether it be on SellerSnap or another tool, if I change it, it doesn't change instantly. And then I appreciate that there are other tools trying to compete. How do these things work? How does the communication with SellerSnap and Amazon work? And like, what's the frequency of updates? And like, what things do we need to be aware of in that when we do repricing from a user perspective?
Yeah, so I think in order to answer that question, your listeners need to understand something, and that is that all developers or third-party tools like SellerSnap or an inventory management tool or your advertising tool, no matter what it is, we are accessing data from Amazon via one of two places. It's the SP API, the Selling Partner API, or their Advertising API. And API is just a way for tools to talk to for systems to talk to other systems and get data. So we receive data from this SP API when you authorize SellerSnap to access your data. And we also update prices through this API when you give us those permissions or turn on repricing. While Amazon is making this data available and making these tools available, and sellers are providing access to use this data, what a lot of people don't understand is that Amazon also sets really strict rules on what you can do with it, even blocking specific use cases if you send updates too regularly or update listings too often. Then they block you and they slow you down. So one of the things that I think that you were sort of alluding to is for many, many years, since the beginning of reprices, we were only able to make price updates once every 2 minutes. We could send one, essentially just a CSV document with price updates every 2 minutes. And so we had to be really selective of the prices you updated and which marketplaces you updated and when you updated them because of this limitation. And so recently, in the last year, Amazon's made a change to how they do this specific process. And this term, instant repricing, has become a really big part of the conversation. And essentially what instant repricing is Amazon giving a new mechanism to update prices. So instead of updating a lot of listings at one time every 2 minutes, you can now update one listing at a time very regularly. I think it's 5 per second. 5 per second. So you can send 5 messages at a time every second, which means you can do the math 60 times 60 times 5 at a time per day, times 24 per day gives you how many items you can update a day, which means if you are good or your repricer is good at discerning which products need to be repriced and when, and at what price, obviously, which is the other thing that we do is work out the right price, then you can update a listing what would be defined as instantly. You can't update every listing instantly because you can do one at a time. But if you are selective of which ones need an update more importantly than the next one, then you can be much faster or much more targeted in your approach to when you update a product.
I never knew it was that quick. That is quick, isn't it? And that's a big change.
So, yes, well, it isn't because, it was unlimited amount of listings every 2 minutes, and now it's 5 per second. And once again, I think that's the case. I'll confirm it afterwards and we'll put a little banner in the screen if I'm wrong with an asterisk, but I'm pretty sure that's what it is. And so it's, if you do the mathematics, it's actually much less than it was. The difference is you can update a listing immediately if you need to. If you've got 170,000 listings, well, it's still a challenge because if you do the mathematics, it takes a long time. So you have to become very good at deciding which listings to update and when. Before it was which prices to update. Sorry, what price to update. Now it is not just what price to update, it's what price to update and when to make it update. If you have listings that are really slow movers and they have competition, should I choose that product or is it worth not updating that product and choosing something that is highly competitive, highly profitable, high velocity? Which product would you choose if you could only do one? And so those are some of the things that we're engineering. You can't instant reprice everything, but you can be selective on the things that you can. And a good repricer today should be so good at deciding which the products need repricing that it almost feels instant.